In the rural hills of western New York, surrounded by thick woods and winding dirt roads, stands a quiet old farmhouse. To most, it looks ordinary, weathered, worn, and unremarkable. But those who've stepped inside tell a different story, a chilling one. A story of spirits, violence, and something ancient lurking in the shadows of the land. This is the Hinsdale House, one of the most terrifying and lesser-known hauntings in American history. A haunting so intense, it required an exorcism. And even that wasn't enough to stop it. The story begins in 1973, when the Dandy family, Clara and Phil, along with their 4 children, moved from Buffalo to a remote farmhouse on McMahon Road in Hinsdale, New York. They were in search of a simpler life, peace, quiet, and distance from the chaos of the city. The property seemed perfect, tucked away in the woods, surrounded by nature and isolation. But almost immediately, things began to feel off. At first, it was small things. The sensation of being watched, doors opening and closing on their own, lights flickering despite no electrical issues. Then came the low, droning hum at night, a strange vibration that pulsed through the walls. They dismissed it all as quirks of an old house, but it wasn't long before those quirks became undeniable threats. The children were the first to see it, a pale, translucent figure standing just beyond the trees, always watching the house. Then Clara began to notice shadowy forms darting through rooms, accompanied by phantom footsteps in empty hallways. The telephone would ring at all hours, but there was never anyone on the line. One afternoon, Clara looked out the window and froze. There, hanging from a tree outside, was the image of a woman, limp, swinging silently from a noose. Clara ran outside, but the tree was empty. No rope, no woman, nothing. Yet the vision haunted her, and it wouldn't be the last. As days turned into weeks, the activity grew more violent. Objects levitated and crashed to the floor. Crucifixes were found flipped upside down. Windows shattered with no explanation. The family's dog refused to enter certain rooms, barking at unseen forces. Then came the growls, guttural, inhuman, echoing from the basement. The family also began hearing chanting from the woods at night. Not English, not Latin, but something older. A rhythmic, eerie sound that filled them with dread. And then, it escalated. The eldest daughter was attacked by something unseen. Thrown across the room, she landed hard on the floor. Red marks appeared around her neck, as if hands had tried to strangle her. But no one had touched her. At this point, the Dandies were terrified. They reached out for help. Enter Father Alphonsus, a Catholic priest from St. Bonaventure University with a known interest in the paranormal. He arrived at the house with a group of psychic researchers and began an investigation. What they found shocked even them. The psychic medium reported that the house sat on cursed land, a place marked by tragedy and blood. They believed it had been the site of Native American conflicts, executions, possibly even ritual sacrifices. A hanging tree was rumored to exist on the property, the same one Clara had seen in her vision. Father Alphonsus experienced the activity firsthand. He saw religious artifacts thrown from walls, watched temperatures drop suddenly, and reported a suffocating pressure in the air. He became convinced the house was under demonic influence. Something had attached itself to the land, and to the family. Father Alphonsus conducted an exorcism. Holy water was spread, prayers were chanted, rituals were performed throughout the house. For a few days, it seemed to help. But then, it returned. Stronger, more aggressive. It was as if the land rejected the cleansing. The dandies began to fear for their lives. In the fall of 1974, they packed their belongings and fled. They left behind furniture, clothing, even personal items, too afraid to return. They never set foot inside the house again. For years, the Hinsdale House sat quietly, its legend known only to locals and paranormal researchers. The events were largely overshadowed by more famous hauntings like the Amityville Horror. But the story refused to die. Father Alphonsus documented everything: photos, notes, audio recordings. His records confirmed the family's claims and preserved the case as one of the most disturbing hauntings he'd ever encountered. He continued to speak about the Hinsdale House for the rest of his life, calling it the most dangerous case he'd ever worked on. In the 2000s, new owners purchased the property. Paranormal investigators were invited in. What they discovered only deepened the mystery. EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, sessions picked up whispering voices, voices that responded to questions, voices no one in the room could hear in real time. Guests reported being scratched, pushed, and suddenly overcome with nausea in certain areas. One person collapsed on the staircase, claiming invisible hands had dragged them down. Thermal cameras captured strange hot and cold zones that shifted with no logical explanation. Shadows were seen moving across rooms. Footsteps echoed through empty halls. Several investigators refused to return, and all of them pointed to the same places: the upstairs bedrooms, the living room, and the basement, where the growls were first reported. Some believe there's a portal in the basement, a thin place where the veil between worlds is weakest. Today, the Hinsdale House remains a hotspot for supernatural activity. Unlike other haunted attractions, there are no costumed tour guides or props. Just a small farmhouse in the woods, and something still dwelling within it. Those who visit often leave changed. Some don't make it through the night. Others return, drawn to the darkness. No one knows exactly what caused the haunting. Was it the land's bloody past? Something summoned by mistake? Or something that was always there, waiting? Whatever it is, the house hasn't forgotten. Sometimes a house is more than a home. Sometimes it's a warning.